Today's webinar is going to be on some of the experiences sharing related to the practical implementation of digital transformation, like whatever we have experienced in our journey in digital transformation. That is what we're going to share with you. In addition to that, we are also going to talk about some of the products that can help your organization. Before that, this is Srividya here. We welcome you to the webinar and we deeply appreciate your time taken to be present here. Uh, we at Atna regularly conduct these sessions uh, to meet all of you. It's a pleasure to meet all of you on a Thursday evening, and it's also a part of a learning initiative for ourselves and for all our partners and customers present in the ecosystem. And we are delighted to welcome you to this special occasion on digital transformation. We are a Microsoft Gold Certified partner with competencies in cloud, enterprise solutions, analytics and automation, point solutions using Microsoft solutions mainly. And basically, we are into MS Microsoft ERP as well as Power Platform. And we have a variety of solutions that cater to the needs of the industry. As we said, we do a variety of, we have variety of offerings. Basically, we started as many of us, we have met earlier, either in person or in various forums. But some of you who are new here, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Atna. We are a 15-year-old organization who started as a Microsoft ERP implementation partner, and we were primarily into implementing Microsoft Navision and Dynamics 365 solutions based on BC, FNO, CRM, and other LS retail and other solutions. We do have another division which is catering to custom products related with a backed by Microsoft technology again, that is using .NET, as well as we do have point mobility solutions using Android and iOS apps. In addition to that, last few years, we have also launched our automation analytics division, which is primarily focused on helping companies build data warehouses using MSBI technologies, using SSIS, SSAS, SSRS, and Power BI on one hand, and also with the Power Platform as Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agent as well. This whole gamut of solutions from Microsoft, that's a Power Platform, is largely helping us in delivering solutions in enabling our customers in the digital automation journey. And we are backed by consultants who are certified in Epics and also who are also Lean and Six Sigma consultants, and technically backed by solution architects as well as technology professionals. So uh, these are the kind of list of solutions that we offer. In addition to ERP as well as data warehousing and analytics, we also do resource augmentation as well as we have set up ODCs in technology areas as well as for companies, US and other areas. And our customers are we have pan we have global customers who are based out of Australia, Canada, US, Middle East, as well as Africa. Of course, India is a place where we are registered, so we do have a lot of customers over here, and we have 100 plus implementation and 75 plus employees in all of these technologies. So these are some of the global brands. These are our partners, customers who we are associated with. Coming to the topic of today, so the whole session is going to be something like 30 minutes, out of which 20 minutes is where I'm going to introduce you to the concepts of digital transformation and what are some of the products that we have that can help you in your digital transformation journey, and followed up with a demo and opening it up to question and answers. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to write down in the chat, and will make sure that we take up each and every one of them. So basically, whether it's a manufacturing organization or a service organization, when we don't digitize the enterprise, there is always a hidden factory available over there. While in the manufacturing organization, the the waste is always visible. It's very tangible in terms of wastage, the waste, and you will see it better. Whereas in a service sector or another organization, the wastage is usually in terms of delays, errors, rework, and possibly, in terms of interruptions or, probably change in the strategy, all of this leads to waste, which actually means that we will never come to notice that unless and otherwise we start collecting data and start looking at the data. So with Industry 4.0, the whole organization, the movement is from managing by gut feel to managing with data. And and we should not be left behind because the competitor is already doing it, is already eliminating waste, delays, and errors. Why is automation important? Because we all have limited time, just 24 hours in a day, out of which probably productive hours of about 8 hours. But then the potential is limitless, which actually means if there is a way that we can capitalize the time that is available for all our repetitive tasks, then what happens is that the possibilities and the heights that we can reach is actually limitless, which also means that we get very tired more often than not. What you would actually see is that our team members walk up to us and say, see, this task is really boring and I don't want to do it all over, over and over again. So we're not good at doing repetitive tasks, whereas we are very good at doing creative tasks and also in strategic thinking, which actually means that previously which actually means that this is the best time to automate, right? But why is this the best time to automate? Why not earlier? Because the technology was maturing, right? We've always talked about automation. We had initially the automation was very restricted to only the software domain and the software industry, where we were automating all our tasks and we were automating our testing and all that. But now we are in a stage where the technology has grown to an extent that we are able to automate tasks, and the most important point is that it's become democratic as well as it's become affordable because of the presence of AI as well as all the other technologies that we have. So what is automation? Is automation an island? Is it only RPA? Not necessary. We have always been talking about automation. Companies have always performed automation. But as I said, it's become more viable now, it's more practical, and we have more technology at our disposal to automate. While RPA stands for robotic process automation, the robotic process automation has become a possibility because of AI, which actually means that we are able to, example or case in point is OCR. You are able to read a document using OCR. You are able to recognize people using technology. You are able to recognize images. So all of this has lent itself to the automation. And we also have digital process automation, and this is again something we've all been doing time and again. We have always been integrating systems. We have been integrating an ERP with an SCM or an ERP with a CRM, or possibly a handheld device through a from mobile through APIs. We have been integrating into ERP. So DPA is again part of automation, and then you have the BPM, which is the business process management. So we do have products which help us in the business process orchestration. So which actually means that you are able to orchestrate your business process, which actually handles everything beneath it. So we do have products associated with it. And finally, the one that is catching up and it's very popular in the market today and also in the industry today is the process mining. So in process mining, what we do is that many times what happens when a Six Sigma person walks into the factory, or a process consultant walks into the factory, he sits with the people, he studies the process as to where exactly there is waste, there is which he basically jots down the entire, he basically maps the entire process, finds out the areas where there is a process optimization possible, and then he follows it up with measurement of it of the existing one, then talks to the have brainstorms with the people as to how could it be optimized, and again measures it. Now you can imagine companies that have thousand and odd documented processes and which are global. Then what happens is that this person has to spend a lot of time in understanding them, unless and otherwise there is a SOP available. Now process mining is a tool which helps us in plugging on to the existing ERP or the CRM or whichever is your software it is. This process mining tool will collect all the information and will tell you what has been the delay from one stage of your process to another stage of your process. For example, from the time you placed a purchase order to the time you received the goods, what was the delay? or from the time you've received you may created a GRN, and then and then from the time till the time you made a payment, what was the delay or payment in accounts receivable, all of it, system is going to collect all of this data, and then it's going to give you indications as to these are all the processes where there is a which is taking time, and also tell you as to in this process these are all the sub processes where you will have to really focus, which actually means that a consultant manually he does a Pareto and he finds that this tool will be able to give you the moment it is plugged on. And we'd be very happy to tell you that we are partners for one such tool, and it's called as Celonis, and we have the capability to implement them for our customers. So we are present in all of these areas. With respect to RPA, we have our Power Automate, and of course, the other areas we already talked about. So while we talk about automation, we see that it is not just one tool, it could be a gamut of these technologies working together. Focusing more on Power Automate, which is possibly in the last 3 to 4 years, it's gained a lot of momentum. So now you can actually see that there are so many organizations which are using Power Automate, and so many processes are being automated using Power Automate. And if you follow Gartner's Magic Quadrant, Power Automate is leading in the chart. And these are some of the statistics that's been gathered by Microsoft. So for the companies that implemented Power Automate, there has been a 199% ROI over 3 years, and about 1.41 million worker time has been saved, and also 27.4% percentage there has been a reduced errors due to increased automation. Because automation is nothing but you're going to look at the tasks that are repetitive and which are very well defined, which are rule based, and which lends itself to automation, in the sense there is some way that you're able to automate. And also talking about automation and RPA, why is RPA so popular? When you look at modern systems like SAP or Navision or BC or FNO or any of these systems, they are all endowed with good APIs, which lends itself to automation. Whereas if you look at, but over the years, when a company has a IT division for more than 20 years, there are so many homegrown systems which are available, and they do not have all of these capabilities for a digital automation, in the sense that to integrate over APIs, right? So in such cases, and also many times what happens, we've seen in our customers' places, uh, it's not possible to access the backend. The backend is not available. But then still the businesses, like for example the manufacturing department, feels that there is a need to automate certain processes. For example, a printing job which is repetitive. Now, in the absence that you cannot access the backend, and in the absence that there is no possibility of integrating, then RPA allows us to automate it using mimicking the user clicks, and then it mimics as if a person is going to sit in front of the system and going to do all the operations. The RPA is going to mimic that and then do all the operations for us. But the only catch over there is it is not possible to automate all of them. The operations that are less error prone, and for handling the error if there is no human intervention needed, those are the processes that are candidates for automation. So I'm going to take you through a couple of case studies. The first one is from Microsoft. This is a case of Coca-Cola where there has been a huge implementation of Power Platform. So this is a case where what the suppliers, before implementation of this solution, they entered the CRM order in an Excel sheet, and the PO was created using an email. And there was a need to translate what the supplier, because all the suppliers were not enrolled with a software, right? So they had to translate into a customer and material IDs, basically, because many of us are from software in this field. So I'm just freely using those jargons here. And that created a order in the supplier system and sent through email. And if someone sits over there, checks if an email is received, prints it out, takes that email to the AP department, and then it's processed for payment. Now they said, okay, what is it that we can automate and how do we do this? So what they said, they first of all they enabled the SAP system for the agent to enter. And so this order data was moved from SAP into the Azure SQL using Azure Data Factory. Azure Data Factory is one of the ETL, you could call it as an ETL on the clouds, right? So then their own Power Automate took over. So the Power Automate bot, that's the RPA part of the Power Automate, it reads the order, recognizes it, and creates a PO in the SAP system and submits order to supplier website. Now, again, it monitors the email for any invoices and matches to correct order. And subsequently, it stores the attachments for reference, possibly in a OneDrive, and then it submits directly the details into SAP for AP. What we are going to show is while this was implemented by Coca-Cola, we are going to show at the end of this uh, discussion, a small demo where we have actually enabled OCR recognition of invoices, automatic reading from email, and OCR recognition, and then posting of AP into the ERP. In our case, we are using Navision, so we are posting it into Dynamics NAV. So in this case, what is happening is they are using multiple technologies over here, as we talked about. There's a Power Automate that is used. There's a ETL tool that is being used. So there's a Power Automate that is used. That's an ETL tool that's being used. There's an AI builder that is being used for recognition. So this is actually a set of Power Platform is actually it's actually a platform which contains Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, along with the AI builder in it with all of those capabilities. And this Power Platform has got connectivity to more than 300 odd systems, which actually means that each of these connectors you could connect to our standard ERPs like SAP, CRMs like Salesforce, then Oracle, then all kinds of databases, all kinds of social media like Twitter, Facebook, and all of them, SMS gateways. And the connectors are only growing because there's a lot of focus from Microsoft on this platform as an answer to the for the digital for the to support digital transformation. So coming to after seeing a Microsoft case study, it's time to look at what Atna has to offer to partners and customers in the space of digital transformation. So we have also created products using our Power Platform as well as mobile technologies in this area. So while we've created an ASN product, this basically gives us visibility to the vendor in terms of PO priorities, and also it the moment the vendor the system, like the moment a purchase order is placed and the vendor is ready to ship the products, what actually happens is he sends across the ASN, and the purchase team is the one who usually enters the ASN. Now there are two possibilities here. One possibility is the vendor when the portal is opened up to the vendor to enter the ASN. The second possibility is if it lends itself to AI, then there is also a possibility of doing no auto detection of the ASN and then automatic posting into the ERP. So that is the ASN, and once then comes the next one, that is once the products items are received either in the warehouse or in the factory, then material movement from one place to another or between warehouses is enabled by using barcodes, which means all the items or boxes are barcoded, and from the source to the destination, the material is handled via barcode. So this has also been implemented and successfully, and it's running in one of our client site. And then comes the production part of it. So for the production, uh, we have two solutions over here, one based on Power Platform and the other based on mobile app. So for the Power Platform, what we have enabled is that it is possible to schedule the production orders, it's possible to track production orders, and then track um, machine, person, as well as resources, and also the status of production, as well as to handle the wastage as well as breakdown timings, which actually means once the production is done, then there is a quality app which is put in place, which allows you to have a checklist of, let us, for example, if you have to run through a checklist for a particular product, it is possible to create a checklist, and the person can run through the checklist to say, okay, acceptable, not acceptable, and if there are 10 parameters that you're checking, what are the parameters you're checking, and what are the values that are there. And it's a very highly configurable product, which can be configured for any product as well as for any number of brands under it, as well as the each of the brands could have different checklists which are all configurable. And finally, we also have a module which helps us in measuring OE, that is the operational effectiveness for a factory. Now, uh, once the once the production is done, the data with respect to the output, wastage, and with respect to the quality, and with respect to the breakdown timings, they're all collected. And when they are collected, we calculate OEE. So the OEE is available at the factory level, at the machine level, at the process level, and also, if needed, you could also track it at the people level. And the factory runs in multiple shifts, so you could also run it, track it at shift level. So we do have solutions in all of these areas, which uses different aspects of the Power Platform in terms of Power App, Power Automate, Power BI, and all of them. So here we're going to show you glimpses of one of the product today, which is the production app. So we're going to look at the any questions so far before we get into this. Okay, so we could reserve the questions for the end. So we're going to look at a day in the life of a production supervisor. So generally, what happens is that, yeah. So what happens is that the planner plans the production activities and enters into the ERP. So the ERP that we have depicted over here is a business central over here. So enters into business central, and then the production orders are printed and handed over to the production supervisor. And the production supervisor next day schedules all the production based upon the person, machine, material availability, and the shift starts, the job ends, and everything is noted down in a logging sheet. And at the end of the shift, the data is entered, taken by the production assistant, and manually entered into the ERP. This is a typical case where everything happens manually. So when we look at this process and we look at options, what are all the opportunities that are allowing us to automate? Uh, I'm just going to bring down the rules that we use to detect them. They have to be rule based, they have to be well defined and repetitive in nature. And most importantly, it should be cost beneficial. For example, automating that activity should release person hours, basically for more better productive work. So when we subject your process through these parameters, what happens is you can very well see that there is a production order paper copy that's flowing, which actually reminds me saying that wherever there is a lot of paper, that's an opportunity for us to look for automation. So there is a production order paper copy, so which is flowing. That's a possibility for us to automate. And also there's a lot of logging sheets that are created. Assume an organized manufacturing company, a reasonably sized manufacturing company with about 10 machines, about 15 processes running in 3 shifts. That's nothing less than 10 into 15 into 3 papers produced every day. And at the end of the day, all these logging sheets have to get into the ERP, which actually means if someone is not there, then it's delayed. Or or if there is an error in the entry, again it's delayed because it's a manual noting down, it's also manual entry. So it's a manual and a time consuming process and lending itself to delays. So that is another place where we could look at automation. Now, this is again transferred into ERP. And again, what happens is that until all of this data is entered into ERP, the corporate office or the GM manufacturing sitting in the corporate office or in some other city has no visibility into what's happened that day. He is not aware of which machines are idle, which who are idle. It could be because of want of resources, it could be because of want of material, it could be any reason, could be anything. But then there is no visibility of operations available. It's only available to the shop floor. So when we re-looked at this whole process in terms of these parameters, we found that there is an opportunity for us to automate this production order. It's not necessary that it has to go as a paper. And even if it goes as a paper, a person need not type in the production order number, which is actually usually about 10 or 15 digits, right? So we created a QR code over there so that the person can actually and then we also enabled an app. So that is one place where we could do that. The other place that we can do that is it is basically sent to a production supervisor. So does it have to be manually given? Not necessary. we looked at ways of handling it. And also the scheduling part of it. There are some machines which are very modern, which allows automation with SCADA or PLC or IoT, but there are some machines which probably do not have those interfaces. So it's totally dependent upon the particular mission, whether that has to be automated or not, and also whether the company is willing to take that particular expense or not. So all of these factors come into play. As I always say, it's a cost benefit analysis, which is extremely important over here. So the scheduling part of it and the data collection part of it, that again is a place where we could automate it. So how did it change? So the way it changed is the scheduling is done and the production order is printed with a QR code, and it is also delivered onto a Power App using Power Automate. So we put a Power App over there. So every production supervisor has a Power App on his mobile. So which actually means that whether he's in office or whether he's at home 24/7, he has a visibility of what's happening in the factory. Otherwise, he has to basically make a call to the factory to say, because the factory works 24/7, right? So he has to make a call to the factory to say what's happening. Now on the Power App, he's able to see the status of what's happening, and also how many production orders have come. So he can already make a planning of wherever he is, and also the status of each of the production orders are also visible over there. And if the automation of the machines are allowed, if they are modern machines, then you could connect them to IoT. You could have IoT aggregators, and you could collect all the data in terms of what is the output for a particular job, what was the start time, what was the end time, how many breakdowns did you have, what was the reason for the breakdown, mechanical, electrical, all kinds of operations, all kinds of data can be gathered. If the machine is a old machine which does not lend itself to automation using SCADA or PLC or any other form of IoT, then you could also allow manual you could also allow a manual you could also enter the data into the Power App, and from Power App entry into the ERP is immediate, is actually is handled through Power Automate. So which actually means that as and when the job is completed or whenever there's a status change, the data is available in the ERP, which actually means the moment it's available in the ERP, it's visible to everybody, which actually means that everyone knows what production orders are scheduled, where exactly is a particular sales order is in, and what is going to be the lead time before which it is delivered, and how many machines are idle, what is the reason for breakdown. All of it is visible to all the people who are hooked onto it, probably in the corporate office or elsewhere, which allows which allows live monitoring possibility, as well as in this particular case, the log sheet is entirely automated, and we could also do an analysis of machine breakdown and calculate OEE. So so this is just a scenario of before and after. Previously, it was a paper. Now you don't have to do a manual entry, and it's a QR code enabled, and also entry is automatic. So which means those many people's the time is saved and they are released for more productive work, and also the visibility is available everywhere, and it is possible to calculate OEE. So I'm just going to. This is just a. I'm just. This is one of our applications that we are using for it. So you can actually see that there is a possibility to. This is a Power App, and you will find that we have actually seen that when we walk on the shop floor, many times ERPs are not allowed in the shop floor. So this is a possibility of extending the operations, extending automation support by giving a mobile, by enabling it on the mobile, and you can see that you could scan this QR code, and the production order is already visible, and the process, and you could track it process wise. You could actually look at what is pending. You could also, in case if the, in the case the machine is not automated with IoT, you could also update the all the output wastage and all of them. And these are some of the screens. um, like you could do a work center assignment over here, and you can see that you can assign a work center, you can assign people, you could select all of them, and all of them are enabled with QR code, which actually means that if there is a production assistant who's going to work on it, if his ID card is QR code enabled, all you need to do is just scan it. Or if a machine is there and you just need to say, okay, you're shifting it from one machine to another, all you need to do is just scan the machine. You do not have to enter it, right? So this is the status of the passport. So I have not pasted here all the screens. So if someone is interested in looking at the demo of this particular app, we could have a separate session and we could show you a demo of this app. So this app enables us to uh, monitor production orders, start them, stop them, and also collect all the data. If when there is an automation possibility, it collects the data from IoT, and we can also look at all the schedules. And because it's Power App, it's a SaaS-based product, so it's available everywhere. So sitting anywhere across the globe on the travel, you will be able to monitor the production orders and the status of each factory. So this is this is the OEE that I was talking about. So we could actually look at availability, performance, quality, and thereby calculate OEE. So you could look at it mission wise, you could look at it location wise, you could look at it shift wise, and you can actually see that for the performance, design speed, and an actual speed, they are shown over here. So this is just a sample of what is possible. This is another view of the same thing. So you can see that there is availability, performance, quality, and here you have OEE by shift, OEE by machine, OEE by factory. So you can see that factory 3 is doing very well, whereas factory 6 is not doing so well. So and also you are also able to see that there is an outlier over here in terms of there is an outlier in M1 mission in terms of you can see that that's the highest over there 1.78. So you could go down to see why is it like that. Because it's Power BI, it's possible to enable drill down, and you can actually start with a organization level and go down to the mission, and from there on to the next level up to the process, and there on to the particular day, and then to shift and so on and so forth, and find out what is the why something is doing good and why something is not doing good. All of those analysis is possible. So that has that was a small discussion that we had about one of the products that we have. So each of those products, if you want to kind of look deeper into each of those products, you could book a demo with us. You can call up one of us. Sai is here. Sai is here. Subramaniam is here, and as well as Dana is here. You could book a demo with one of us, and we'll be happy to show that. We didn't want to take up all your time, so that's why we didn't show all the products. But we are going to leave you with a small demo of an AP automation. So this has technology of this is a place where an invoice lands into an inbox, and the contents of that particular invoice, which is a PDF file, are read through using artificial intelligence, using OCR, and then the contents are extracted. And because it's payment, it's put up for approval in Teams, and once approved, it is directly posted into the ERP. In this case, it's Navision. So over to Dana for a demo.
Srivitya, one question is that OCR you mentioned, right? That is like Microsoft OCR or some other third-party OCR service?
We are using Microsoft OCR.
Okay.
Hi, this recording is to show you how you can use Microsoft's Power Automate to automate your AP payments processing. In this particular scenario, as soon as we receive a invoice onto our mailbox, what we are going to do is create an automatic payment for the same. We will be using Microsoft Dynamics Nav as a backend. Let's go through it now. The entire process starts as soon as you receive a mail onto your inbox. Let's say this is a dummy mail, but let's assume a vendor has sent a mail onto your inbox with 3 separate invoices attached. As soon as this particular mail comes into your inbox, it gets diverted towards the flows, and what the flow will do is take up all these particular attachments and run through them. It will extract the information and it will process them sequentially. Let's assume it took the first one, and then it's going to send you an intimation on the flow stating, hey, would you like to approve it? Let's review it once. For example, if we go here, look up the first invoice that was sent to us. You can say it was for 6,001 and 20, and also the invoice number was 6345864. It looks good. So in first case, I would say, hey, it looks good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to approve the same. You click on approve and say, hey, approve the same, and followed by some date. You can put in any information as per you would like, but we can do the same. And I can just say submit here. So what will happen is the system will take this particular thing, divert it towards the flows. And if you see on the right hand side here, I have my remote system open for this demonstration purposes. If you see certain set of actions being carried out there, it's opening Dynamics Nav all by itself, and it's processing the same. Let me make it a bit bigger. If you look at it, it went to payment journals all by itself. It starts filling up all the data that you have put up on your invoices. It pulls up the party name from that particular invoice using AI, puts everything up here. Let's go through it. It's filling everything up, even the money, whatever notes you have written there, so that it is just the same. Then it will also put up the money and then post it. The interesting thing about it is, once it's done the posting, it will also close Dynamics Nav on itself so that it doesn't consume any licenses. Now, once it's done with that, it will go into the teams again, go to the AP department, and here, if you come under the process invoices, you can see it has done an invoice processing for the same. It's just to intimate your AP department that, hey, this invoice has been processed. Now it comes to the second one. If you see the flow here, go to chat, come down here. In this scenario, I say, hey, there is something wrong with it. Maybe I want it to go a manual route. I say manual entries to be done. Please check on. Once you select this, click on submit here. What will happen is the system will take this particular thing, then again reroute it to the proper channel inside your teams. Say in this case, to your AP department, manual entries division. They look on it and they'll be like, okay, this came from manual processing. They can have their own set of actions. So once we know what flows needs to be designed, we can do the same. We can divert it, redivert it. It's up to you. Now coming to the third, if you remember there were 3 invoices. So the third one, I say I don't like it. Maybe I'll reject it. And I will say rejecting, rejecting because of some reason. And I can say the date here, say 1323. 1323. Sorry. Okay. Now, clicking on submit here, what will happen is it will take this and reject the same. Again, the flows can be created as your business processes are. For example, if you say if rejection happens, I want this to happen. If approved happen, we want separate steps of happen to happen there after that. If you say manual, these things should happen. This can be completely customized and designed as per your needs. So coming out rejected invoices, you would see these rejected invoices come here as well. So this is it. This is an overall demonstration on how you can use RPA to automate your tasks. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, what we just saw was an integration of multiple technologies, integration of multiple technologies, right from Outlook to Teams to RPA to that's our Power Automate to Navision. So all of them were seamlessly weaved so that we are able to generate a workflow. So while we have demonstrated with Navision, it is possible to have any ERP over there, and it could be, or it could also be a legacy system. So if there are any more questions, so it's open for Q&A, and also if you want to have a 1 hour consultation with us on for discovering automation opportunities, we are more than happy to discuss with you. We could book an appointment, and we could discuss about it. We are happy to take any questions that you have.
So in AI, Srividya, you mentioned that AI will be populating that data to that spreadsheet, sorry, that Excel sheet, right? So, so internally, like NLP also used, or just that using some regex to that extracting that email content and it's populating.
It's actually extracting the content. It's actually extracting the email from there. From the PDF is extracted, and then we map out using AI, and we map out all the contents, and then we process it. Sometimes you need to do validations because you need to make sure that that particular item code is available, right? So all kinds of validations done, and then posted onto the ERP.
Suppose I'm mentioning some in the email content like something like a future date. I want to schedule a meeting on
Yeah.
next alternative 3 days. Okay.
Yes.
So that NLP like so the
It is
scheduling.
also
So
that
meeting.
capability is also available. Yes.
Okay.
It's
Good.
available. While in this case, we have not demonstrated it, that capability is there which can be used. Because we have this Azure Cognitive Services available to us, which it's possible to build it.
Wow, awesome. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Rita.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
It is a good thing that everything is automated, but is there any cons related to automation, and how can we face it? The challenges in automation, automating any process in general.
Okay. Now, a couple of things over here. One of the things that we usually do is when we take up something for automation, we look at the cost benefit analysis. Okay. For example, we had an opportunity to walk into a multinational company, right, and help them in identifying processes for automation. What we found is in that particular process flow, there was one particular printing process which could not be automated in the sense that they were very keen to automate, but then it was not possible to automate because they are actually printing it, and then any ink spillage over there has to be manually handled. There's no way that you can handle it automatically. So we said, even if you're going to automate the entire process, you cannot relieve the FTEs over there, which actually means you're not going to realize the benefit, right? So that is one disadvantage that we see. So the the rules through which you put your process for selection of automation is extremely important, right? That is one. And the and another area where you'll have to be extremely careful is you will have to handle all the errors, right? You can't leave out any errors, which otherwise a human, when a person is involved, you would have handled it, right? So you now need to make sure that the handling of the errors have to be robust. That's the only thing that you have to take care of.
Thank you, ma'am.
So Shilda, means I really liked the way you had presented. Just wanted to check means this kind of automation can be done in any particular domain, means be it servicing domain, services domain.
Yeah,
As a startup about services,
sure.
which involves logistics, which involve definitely factories also, productions is also there. So it can be applied to any domain according to you.
Can be applied to any domain, right from HR to operations to services to any domain. It can be applied.
Okay.
We've just taken a manufacturing use case. We have a lot of products in that area, so we've taken a manufacturing use case. Possibly next time around we'll come out with some other examples, but then it's possible to do it in all functions and
Yeah.
in all
Yeah.
verticals.
We will be in touch with one of your means. I've already got the emails. We'll be in touch with you regarding.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shilda.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll meet you in another webinar, possibly 2 weeks down the line, with another topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Srividya, for the valuable sessions. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was a nice session, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.